Hi, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Politics with Sherry Jacobus. Thank you for subscribing. If you are a subscriber, and if you're not, I hope you'll help me out and hit that button. Okay, so I'm going to bring up again the dire need for daily press briefings from the Capitol building that Chuck Schumer could snap his fingers and make sure it gets done. Not with him, of course, doing them. Don Winslow has jumped on board, and he's been very vocal about this on social media. We know Mark Cuban. We know lots of people agree with this. It's a no-brainer. This is the low-hanging fruit stuff. And the fact that it's not happening is getting to the point now where it's alarming. It should have been happening 8 months ago. So just to give you some context about why this is so important. The House and Senate daily press galleries. Okay, these are credentialed journalists. And the reason I keep saying this has to be done in the Capitol as a congressional function by the Democrats is because it needs to be on par with the White House daily press briefing. Okay, so the daily press, they have right here in the Capitol, in the House and Senate press galleries. I dealt with them for years when I worked on Capitol Hill. There are more than 1,500 credentialed daily press correspondents, including print and online journalists. The radio and television galleries broadcast. These galleries are for broadcast media collectively, credential over 3,700 Washington-based members. And then you've also got the periodicals. So we literally are talking about thousands, several thousand of credentialed press in the House and Senate press galleries whose job it is to cover Congress. So this press briefing would be their beat. When people say Democrats suck at messaging and they need to take it out on the road or go to the DNC, again, you got to go where the press are to make it easier. If it's at the DNC, it's no longer their beat, then it's political. I've laid out how to pay for this, just a small assessment from each Democratic office or the leadership offices. You only need a few staff, and you need somebody of the caliber and the gravitas of a Pete Buttigieg. And we know this as well. And this would be a super staffer, kind of like how Elon Musk was to Trump, more like counselor. This person could be in any of the meetings. They're not just a staffer that takes orders. And maybe that's why Chuck Schumer has a problem with it. We don't know why this is happening. It is now to the point where we know they've heard about it. It's not just me saying it. A lot of people have jumped on the bandwagon with this, and it's still not happening. So it is intentional. We're at the same point, remember, a couple of years ago with Merrick Garland, where it's like he can't just be slow. He can't just be afraid. There's something else very, very wrong here. And our country might not be salvageable at this point, but part of it is our fault if we're not willing to accept the fact that some leaders that we previously liked, trusted, or even revered are not on our side. Okay. So here is why I'm going to give you one example of what these press briefings could do if we were doing them today. Okay. We saw Trump have an absolute meltdown when Senator Mark Kelly went on Fox News and actually made great points and got to, break through to the MAGA crowd that watched Fox News. And all you need is a few. We're not going to win them all over. We just need a few. Close elections are won or lost in those margins, right? So you start breaking through, and these people start getting this information, and we start winning, okay? This is how we win. This is how we defeat MAGA. Trump isn't brilliant. He's just a crook. He's dishonest. He's evil. He's a fascist. He's a dictator. Okay? He's a criminal. He's a rapist. He's a money launderer. He's a traitor. We got all this. We know this. But he shouldn't be winning like this. There's no pushback from Democrats. Now we see governors pushing back. I was concerned that Governor Pritzker wasn't doing enough in Illinois for the National Guard coming in. They are suing. But at this point, I think that if say Stephen Miller or anybody's breaking state laws, we need to understand that Trump will pardon these criminals in his administration and his goons for their crimes. They know what they're doing is criminal. They know it's unconstitutional and illegal, but they know they're going to get a pardon, a federal pardon. You start throwing state crimes at them, there's no pardon, and they might think again. Stop thinking this is going to go away on its own. It is not. So as I've said before, any 2028 hopefuls out there that want to be the Democratic nominee, if we even have elections, free and fair elections there, the question will be not what do you plan to do about Trump, Vance, MAGA, the fascism. It's what did you do? What have you already done with the power you had? If you have not used every tool in your toolbox, then in my book, you're not the guy or the gal to be the nominee. Gavin Newsom is stepping up. Pritzker will see how much he steps up because we need this. We need this. So the example about why it would matter, just think if we had press briefings right now, the things that people would be discussing. First of all, we'd be talking about the 800 military top brass, or put at Quantico last week. We would have been talking about that a lot, about the fact that it's dangerous to have them all in one place, the cost of bringing them all into Washington from all around the world to be threatened by Captain Bone Spurs and the drunk who was a talk show host at Fox News. What they were really doing, I guess Michael Cohen, was saying this, is that they were they got them all in one place so they could scan their faces for reactions and their body language, trying to figure out who's with them, who's against them, and they want to fire those that are not with them. I'm guessing they could even read pupil dilation. But that's what they're saying now. That was the reason for having them all in one place, to gauge the reactions. Don't put anything past these people, okay? Think about it. That sounds like a real Elon Musk thing, doesn't it? That type of thing. Cambridge Analytica. You know, you get all the brass in one room and just have them there long enough where you can just scan each and every one of their faces. So the reason I'm pushing real hard again still for these press briefings is here's what is happening in polling without the briefing. So just think how far along we'd be with the briefings. Right now, it's all of us out there, independent media, independent senators, on their own doing their thing. So on October 1st, there's a Washington Post poll. 47% of those polled blame Trump and the GOP for the government shutdown. 30% blame Democrats. 23% are not sure. That not sure is why you have daily press briefings, or should have them. Because those people by now should be sure. They should know. But you have to search to find the Democratic pushback on this. Democrats are waiting to get invited on certain shows. Why hand all that power to the networks, to the producers, to whomever? Create your own content every day. I guarantee you, streaming websites, streaming services, network news, the print reporters, everything would be included in every story. If they're going to have Carolyn Levitt or Trump, they will include the Democratic fact checking. 9 times out of 10. It's a lot of press in those House and Senate press galleries, and a lot of their outlets were kicked out of the White House press briefing room. Yes, the press will cover it. Eventually, even Fox will. You want to know why? Because Fox follows the ratings. They don't have any core beliefs. We know that. And if the MAGA base starts accessing accurate information because of the fact checking, it starts sinking in to that Fox MAGA audience. Eventually, Fox will turn around too. And they will turn against Trump and MAGA. This is how it works. Stop thinking that Sean Hannity has any core beliefs. He doesn't. Laura Ingraham, they don't. They don't. Okay, Fox and Friends, they'll turn on a dime if the ratings turn. Remember, a lot of these people were anti-Trump until, Rupert Murdoch or Roger Ailes decided it was more profitable to be for Trump. They change. They don't have a soul. They don't have a conscience. It's all about business and ratings. Okay. In that same Washington Post poll, independents, this was interesting. So we got the 47% blame Trump and the GOP, 30% blame Dems, 23% not sure. We've got Mike Johnson all over TV. Schumer and Jeffries, not so much. Let's see. Independents blame Trump and the GOP, 50% over 22%. That is important. That is important. And that is why you need to have these Democratic daily press briefings, to get that group even bigger. You get independents supporting and believing and trusting Democrats over Republicans. That's huge in the midterms. Huge. These press briefings right now should be about the midterms. Okay. Then you've got 1/3 of Republicans aren't sure who to blame. That's 25%. And 8% of them blame the GOP. There is fertile ground here to make the type of difference that we need in order to secure the midterms. And not doing these daily press briefings to fact check Trump and his administration is just criminal negligence, in my view. You are handing it to them. You're handing over your power. And the one person who can make this happen is Chuck Schumer. All he has to do is give the go ahead. We'll fund it. We'll get Mayor Pete or somebody of equal gravitas and talent. And they have, there's certain lines they can't cross. They can't talk about very specific things, I guess, with regard to certain congressional agendas or Democrats. If it sounds too partisan, well, no, I guess they can be partisan. But if there's disagreement among the party, but there's plenty of other things they can do, and they're not. You need a room in the Capitol, preferably in the basement. You can get that through your policy steering committee, or a senator could give up their hideaway, just a little room. You need folding chairs, a lectern, and some space in the back for cameras. That's it. And you probably need about 4 or 5 staff. The press are already there. I just gave you the stats, the numbers of the press that are right there in the Capitol, whose beat it is to cover Congress from all around the country. A lot of local wire services. This is how you can even go over the head of the national press. This matters. This matters so much. I don't know what else I can do to make the point about how much this matters. And it is now life or death. We have a judge in South Carolina who stopped the Trump administration from getting voter data that was going to be handed over to them. She ruled against it. She put a stop to it. Her house exploded in an inferno, her beach house in South Carolina yesterday. Her son had to go to the hospital. There were injuries. I think her husband jumped out the window. There were broken bones. Remember Governor Shapiro in Pennsylvania, Democrat governor? His house was set on fire. We had 2 Democratic lawmakers shot. One who is a former speaker, the speaker, and her husband killed in Minnesota. We have ICE agents shooting at people. Trump's ICE agents. So the more Trump and his goons and Stephen Miller, who is evil personified, are out there claiming and trying to sell this ruse that, the left is trying to kill us. No, it is them. They want violence. They're promoting violence. They're asking for violence. Stephen Miller is the one who was probably the most directly responsible for the fire, the beach house in South Carolina, without lighting the match or setting the bomb or whatever it was it ignited. He's out there actively calling for this. Okay? He wants this. They want this violence. But as long as Democrats are ceding, and by ceding I mean C-E-D, not S-E-E-D, ceding the space to Republicans, they're not even fact-checking. We have individual Democrats out there trying to do their best they can, but without a sanctioned response, a daily response at a press briefing by Democrats, they're just handing it over. They're giving it away. They're handing over what should be their rightful spot in every nightly news story, every article. And as I've said before, we all complain rightfully that the press just started doing, like during the campaign, he said, she said. They're not even reporting the truth or doing investigative work. And they've been doing this all along with Trump. They like to report what he says and just let it hang out there, whether it's true or not. You know the saying, if one person says it's raining and the other person says it's not, it's your job as a reporter to look out the freaking window and tell us if it's raining or not just to tell us that he said, she said. But as long as they're doing just a he said, she said, then why aren't we at least using that? Carolyn Levitt, she says this. Mayor Pete says this for Democrats. Fact checking, fact checking, fact checking. And saying what Democrats are about. Okay? If you guys want me to stop talking about this, I will. Well, actually, I don't know if I will. Maybe I'll just stop doing my videos on it. But I think it's that important. It is the greatest tool we have, and it costs nothing. These daily briefings will do more good for Democrats and for the country than $1 billion in ads right before the midterms. And in fact, if you do this, the money spent on advertising in the midterms and beyond, you get a lot more bang for your buck because you've already laid the groundwork, and they don't have to do all the heavy lifting with paid advertising. Particularly when these super PACs these guys are putting half the money in their own pockets. You think it's going somewhere and doing some good. So I don't know. Let's get real loud about this. There's simply no explanation for Schumer not facilitating this. We haven't broken through yet to the point where someone is publicly asking him about it. And that's what we need. We need Democratic senators to go to him and House members to go to Hakeem Jeffries and to Ken Martin at the DNC and demand answers. And we need a public answer. We need a brave Democratic senator to step in front of his cameras or her cameras and say, I have personally implored Leader Schumer to facilitate these briefings, and he won't. All right. And then you get rid of him and you find someone who will. This is not Democratic infighting. There should be no debate on this. It's not like Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are standing here saying, we don't think we should do this, and here's why. We're not having a debate. That would be debating and infighting. That's not what this is. I'm not willing to surrender to Trump and MAGA just for Chuck Schumer. Are you?